All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming and checking us out. This is the Thursday edition, session 4 of Notes from the Route with Jared Forte. And in this session, I want to do a quick recap and sort of trying to tie the ideas that we've talked about over the course of the week. And to do that, I want to use a personal story because I think sometimes it's easier to grasp concepts if you have it in the context of a story. And this is a real life account of some things that I experienced. So the topics that we talked about are content management, content strategy, and collaboration. Now, content management and content strategy are very closely related topics. If you want to make the distinction, you could say that the content marketing, content marketing is about the actual ingredients, the message, and the strategy is about the way that it is formatted or the way that it is packaged to match the channels that you're going to use to pass it through, or the overarching theme of what you want to accomplish with your content. So I want to go back to 1998, and I was in Korea at the time, and I was working with. It was the preliminary stages of a record label. We weren't started yet. We hadn't started yet, but we were. We decided that a good way to kind of build a momentum was to start releasing mixtapes. And we didn't even actually have artists yet. We had a DJ who had access to music that was not available in the market. So we said, okay, we'll start releasing these mixtapes every couple weeks, and we would include a few snippets of our own music in with that to kind of get people used to our voices. So we did that over the course of several weeks. And because this was pre-internet, there wasn't any free resource to get music out there. So pre-internet, we were putting music out. It was not our music, it was mixtape, so it was an underground effort. But people were hearing from us on a regular basis. They were getting used to our voices. We were actually selling the mixtapes, and we used the money, the proceeds, to actually get equipment so that we can start recording our own original music. And the culmination of that effort was that we eventually were able to launch a label. We were able to record our own album, and we were able to have a huge event that launched everything and introduced us to the marketplace. Now, that was a process that took place over the course of about a year, a little over a year from the time we started until the time we actually had our big launch event. So how that ties into the story or the concepts with the content marketing was the consistency of reaching out to an audience over the course of a period of time, giving them something that was valuable to them and useful to them that they couldn't get anywhere else, and building our relationship and our credibility with them over the course of that time. And it didn't happen with one mixtape. It didn't happen with two. We did about 10 before we actually started releasing any of our own music. So we became a source. We became a trusted source, not just because of what we produced, but also because of the aesthetic that we embodied. They understood by the way that we curated the material that we presented that we understood what the market wanted. So even though they didn't have necessarily any direct allegiance to us as artists, they turned to us, or they came to us as a source for the type of material that they wanted, that they liked. So if you are anyone who's in the marketplace producing content, then you have to, like I said, it's not a short-term game. You can't just, you have to be thoughtful about the way that you connect with people, because everything that you present is making a demand on a person's time, and everything that you present is either taking away from or enhancing your perception in the customer's mind. So so it's a long-term game, and also you have to have some sort of end in mind. The end we had, the strategic end that we had, was that once we have this audience, once we've aggregated this attention and built this trust, then we could make the ask. We could say, we've been providing you this, this music. We've introduced you to a lot of new sounds, and you've come to trust us. Now, come and take a look at what we're doing. And it was an incredible event. Now, the timing of trying to start an independent label at the time, 1998, 1999, when just before, at sort of the border of the digital, the download era, it was unfortunate timing. But the process that we went through to build up that following where we were, and the relationships that we built over the course of the time while we were beginning to make our own music, we had an opportunity to connect with, or I personally had an opportunity to connect with artists who I've been still collaborating with over the course of the years. Even though that particular project wasn't a huge success beyond the event and that one initial release, the relationships and the collaborations that we had at the time became something that has, sparked numerous projects over the course of the last 15 years. Now, so that's how the content marketing and the content strategy pieces fall into that story. Now, as far as the collaboration side, that's a little bit more. At the time when I started with the label, I had, as many people have, you don't necessarily have a clear picture of what your value is, what level of talent you have. Now, I had been a musician, a singer in high school. I had done some songwriting, in the early 90s. But, sometimes when you run into people who are impressed by what you can do, it can inflate your impression of how good you are. And it can feed your ego and make you think, well, I'm pretty good and I can do this and I can do that. What happened to me when I got deeper into the collaboration was I came across people who were far more talented than I. And it was a gut check for me, because I was like, okay, these are people who clearly have more experience, who are better than me at the thing that I am being tasked to do. How do I handle that from an ego standpoint? And what do I do so that my contribution is of value and I can make the relationship that I have with these people going forward something that's beneficial to them as it is to me. Now, what I quickly came to understand was that what my talent was in that mix of artists and producers, my talent was in being able to pull stories together and create sort of a conceptual framework for the projects that we did. It's easy. It was a hip-hop label, and hip-hop music is very modular, meaning songs don't come together in the same way. It's not usually a band in a room and everybody comes together to create something new. In many cases, in hip-hop songs, people are creating independently. They're writing their own material, perhaps with a different project in mind, perhaps just as an exercise, and then they come into the studio or they come into a session and they have something to work with. I had the ability to pull people together and pull talent together in a way to create a product that was cohesive and help people to hone their story and hone their presentation to create a product that makes sense. So I understood that that's what I could do. I could help people bring their material together into a cohesive story and move it forward that way. So I settled into that role, and that role persisted even after that label went away, because even when the label went away, the artists that I worked with, the talented people that I worked with, I had the opportunity to work with them later on other projects, to put other material together and the collaboration continues to this day under a different name. So one of the big things, one of the reasons why I put content and collaboration together is because in order to get attention in the marketplace, one of the things that you have to be is prolific. You can't just put one thing out there, whether it's, you can't write a blog post and think that everybody's going to find it. You can't put up one video and think that everybody's going to see it. It takes sort of a body of work in order to create enough touch points in the marketplace for people to find you. So one of the valuable things about collaboration is that they can help you to leverage your time by helping you to build your body of work faster, also give you access to a different audience. If they are active in the marketplace, your collaboration with them, it may be something as simple as a guest post on a blog. Your collaboration with them exposes you to their audience. So that's the way that collaboration ties with content strategy and content marketing, is you can build your body of work faster if you have a group of people with whom you have chemistry, with whom you can collaborate to achieve a broader reach and a larger body of work in a shorter period of time. So those are the ideas, that's sort of the main crux or the theme for the week of this sort of inaugural week of the show. I wanted to talk about content and collaboration and put it in the context of my experience. Now, looking forward to next week, I want to get into the idea of the significance of place or location. Even though we have this concept of a virtual world where we can reach out and connect with people all over the planet at a touch of a button, and it's a beautiful thing, where you are and the community that's around you that you can meet face to face is still very important. It has an impact on your brand because your community has, your community defines your business or your brand in a way that perhaps you don't even recognize. And it also provides an outlet to sort of counteract the isolation that comes about when you are in your digital cocoon and just reaching out to people online. So we're going to talk about place. Also in an episode, we're going to talk about how making things, actually creating something, whether it's a physical object, a physical product that you're going to put into the marketplace, whether you're writing or creating content on your own, the process of making something changes you. So we're going to have a conversation about the transition from being a consumer to being a producer and the difference in the mindset of that, how easy it is now because a lot of the barriers are lower than they were in the past. It's possible for people to now cross that line and produce something and make something. The tools are there to make things. And when you do make something and when you do put something into the world and offer it to people, it changes you in a way. It changes the way that you see things. So we're going to have a conversation about that transformation. And finally, in the last session on Wednesday next week, I'm going to talk about curation. That's a word that gets thrown around in the social media circles a lot. And it's the other half of the creation side. You make things yourself as a part of your brand, and also you collect ideas and create context around ideas that other people have made as another way to enhance your brand. So I'm going to talk about curation, what it means, and how it affects your brand, and good examples of people who do it well. So that's a look ahead to next week. So if anybody, if you have a question or anything, the question and the answers are open. If you have questions about what we talked about, whether you're watching it now or later, I look forward to furthering the discussions of things in the comments on social media. You can reach me on G+. On Twitter, as you can see, it's at this Jared, because apparently there's another Jared, but I'm talking about this Jared. And YouTube, all the places that you can find information online. That's, you know, you can reach out to me there. My website is jaredforte.com. Go there. You can read my blog posts and follow the information that, you know, that I'm putting out there. I really appreciate you taking the time and dropping in on me on the first week as I sweat through this humid day. We got through the first week of this show, and I really got, you know, high hopes and big plans for a long conversation and meeting a lot of interesting people around these ideas. So that is today's session 4 wrap up for week 1 of Notes from the Route, and we're gonna take it off.